I'm back down to E flat.
Oh, are you?
Hey everybody. Welcome to That Pedal Show VCQ Live. Dan here.
Mick here. Hello.
Do you like my
Your landlord. Your landlord. You will have to
My
take it
landlord.
off if it keeps clunking on the guitar. Is all I'm saying.
Because not for any other reason except it's going to annoy you to.
No, it won't annoy me. A lot of people were very annoyed last week.
with my
Daniel's
rap-
cough
yes,
sweets.
Yes. Well, it was either that or play guitar. So I chose. I think I chose well.
I think we should actually address a very important point.
Okay.
Many of our American friends,
Right.
hello to the United States of America, have no idea what a cough sweet is.
Oh.
They're it seems that stateside they're called lozenges,
Well, and in Australia we call them cough lollies.
lollies,
Cough
because
lollies.
lollies are sweets, right?
Yeah. My
My
wife gets confused because it doesn't have a stick on it.
Yeah. So in the USA, I believe sweets are called candies.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just takes me back to the Highlander. Hi, my name's Candy. I'm sure you is.
So we're talking about colloquialism. So for those of you who didn't know what a cough sweet was, that's what it is. It's a little hard sweet, usually.
Right.
Lozenge. A lozenge. Although a lozenge tends to be not like a hard boiled sweet, does it?
Straight into the good stuff this week.
I just think it's important, Dan. Because, you know, what binds us together is that we're all humans.
Indeed.
But what splits us apart are these colloquialist differences. Isn't it?
It is.
You know, we were all getting on fine, and then somebody starts a war because he said sweet
Yep.
and he said lozenge.
Yep. It is amazing what upsets people.
Yeah. Anyway.
I had a couple of people quite upset at my beard this week.
Seattle Phil says, I've always said cough drop.
Cough drop, there you go.
Yeah. Like mic drop, but less dramatic. Thanks, Seattle Phil. Hello, USA. Haha, says John Hood. Hello. Yes, of course. Do-do, little girl, it's a great big world, but there's only one of me. Do-do. Yeah. Tonight I'm gonna rock it. Tonight I'm gonna rock it. Fisherman's Friend says
Fisherman's
Wuchipong
friend.
Wong Sakuledej. He says Fisherman's Friend. Yeah, probably the most famous, revered. I don't even know where they're from. I'm assuming they're from Britain somewhere, but.
In the Head DJ says not all Americans are incapable of grasping meaning through context.
No comment. Hello from Slovakia, says Stanislav Migra.
Greetings from Canmore, Canada, says White Donkey 11.
Neil Anderson, Reading, Berkshire. Hello, sorry, yeah, Berkshire.
And my gal, hello from Buenos
I'm
Aires.
in Burke. Cough Drop says the aquaponic one.
Cough drop, lozenge, all the same here in Australia from the old outlaw. It was definitely cough lolly when I was growing up.
They should be called coffo lollos in Australia, shouldn't they? Come on, Dan, it's not that hard. Spell cough drop. If this is all new to you, this is That Pedal Show, viewers, comments and questions. And if it's your first time joining us, welcome. It's a little bit loose around the edges, as you can see. But the idea is you ask us questions and we answer. We do prioritise the super chats, which annoys some people, but that's just the way it is. So there's that. David Rustad checking in from Richland, WA.
Oh, nice.
I'm assuming that's Western Australia.
Western Australia.
Or it could be Washington. I should know, David. You're with us enough. We should.
I
know.
did some absolutely glorious gigs in Perth and WA.
Hello, Cleveland, says Richard F.
Hello, Cleveland.
Tim the commenter says, my 6-year-old is starting to show interest in playing guitar. How do I get her to switch to bass?
Because he doesn't have a bass player in the band.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good idea. I would show her some videos of all the dramatically cool female bass players out there, of which there are many.
So many.
And see all the high-profile gigs they get, unlike all the guitarists of any gender you care to name, who don't get any gigs anywhere because there's too flipping many of them.
There are gigs out there. Yeah, but no, there's some wonderful female bass players out there doing their thing.
Yeah.
Just bass players who happen to be girls, but they're awesome.
Show us some Talking Heads videos.
Yeah, show the Pixies. There's loads of them. David Bowie, the last Prince tour.
Oh yeah, we met her.
Yep, Jeff Beck.
What was her name? Oh, Tal Wilkenfeld. Show her videos of Tal Wilkenfeld.
Yep. There you go. Do it.
I mean, not that we should be getting into this level of gender bias, but anyway, that's where we are.
Yeah. But anything that encourages your kids to play is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Top of the morning from South Mississippi, says Herschel T. From Anoki, not from Muskogee, says Bryson Cook. So, right. Mel Haggard, I'm just an Okie from Muskogee.
Right.
A place where even squares can have a ball. We don't get our trips on LSD.
Oh, Emma Ong says Haim, which is a really good shout. Yep, very good. Smashing Pumpkins, yes.
Of course.
Nice.
Of course. Wasn't one of those bands Thurston Moore's band? Or was that Guitar Player?
No, Sonic Youth. Yeah. I tried with Sonic Youth and I found it hard going. There's a couple of things I thought was really cool. But yeah, I did find it hard going.
I'm just not cool enough to listen to Sonic Youth.
So not cool enough.
Nigel Pickett. Hello lads, greetings from Newcastle. Hello Nigel Pickett. Apologies for the rubbish accent.
Jonathan Porter. Big love from Devon, England. Ah, Devon.
John Newquist. I'm in Ronnet Park today, home of Two Rock. I was playing a Two Rock today. First time I plugged it in a little while. Not for any other reason, only that whenever we use it on the show, people moan because it's like boutique expensive, which is hilarious given that this is that pedal show. So we've been trying to use more sort of normal amps and plugged it in today, and it's like I never want to play another amp again.
Yeah.
It's
everything.
Although Jake Loosemore, if you're watching, Jake got in touch. Jake's a friend of ours, young guitar player who we first met a few years back. And Jake has got a traditional clean and a silver sterling signature.
Ooh.
So I've invited him up and we'll do a little vlog.
Awesome.
And or even a big vlog. And I really want to hear the silver sterling signature.
Oh, awesome.
This is 150 watt sort of idiot clean headroom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. And so I stopped big way from Leicester and Eve Genil Frolov. Warm hello from Russia. Privyet.
Nice. And so I stopped is Tony Brooks' new his music channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good to have you here, Tony. Right then, let's get into these chat du super. Super cats.
Les grandes épices. I still don't know what that means.
No, nor me.
Oh, Todd Roy. A warm hello from Nova Scotia. Hope all is well. Nice.
Yeah.
Julia Hoffer from the Tom Ann YouTube channel. So we played with her when we were in did the Gear University. She is amazing.
Awesome player. Is she on tonight?
No.
Oh,
someone's mentioned her as a female bass player.
Ah, she's killer. We've been lucky enough to play with Julia, and she is really, really serious musician.
Yep. Renee Peterson says Ida Nelson. Yeah, so she was who
it's Ida.
Ida, sorry.
That's who we're trying to remember. Yeah. We hung out with Ida as well, didn't we? In Copenhagen.
Yep, it was Ida and Greg Koch.
Yeah, that was a good night.
It was really great.
Right. Steve Mass, or indeed Mars, given that you have two A's in your name. He said, I'm sure I've missed it, but it's worth a $5 for me to know why Transit van.
Oh, yeah, great story.
Good story. Now, interestingly enough, it's based on a famous story told by Billy Gibbons.
Yes.
And actually, can you hear a phone ringing?
No. Hang on. Oh, yeah, I can. I can hear a phone ringing.
No way. Away, lads. Away.
Hey.
It's Billy Gibbons here.
Hey, Billy.
Can you hear us?
How you doing?
I'm calling from the tune. Anyway, apparently, somebody's asking about pearly gates.
Tell us all about Pearly Gates, Billy.
But it's a very important story, Reed. Anyway, what it was, Reed, there was this rancher. And the rancher had a guitar. And it was a 1959 Gibson Les Paul Standard. And he wanted $250 for it, Reed. I didn't have no money. Anyway, I just lent this car. It was a 1939 Packard. And I'd lent it to this lass who'd had to go all the way to Los Angeles to do this audition for like a film or something. Anyway, turns out we didn't think the car would get past Little Rock, but it got all the way to Los Angeles and she got the part.
That's amazing.
We thought the car had a divine intervention. So we called it Pearly Gates. Anyway, so there she is in LA. Now she's an actress, Reed. And she says, what do I do with this car, Billy? What should I do with it? So I said, how well, lass? Sell the car, send us the money. Anyway, next thing I know, got $250 in me account. So I phoned up the guy and I said, hey, how are you, man? I've got the money to buy that guitar. Will you sell it to us, Nick? And he says, how are you, man, Billy? Get down here. It's yours. Anyway, it was such a great story, we had to call the guitar Pearly Gates. Anyway, cheers, lads. How are you?
Thanks for calling, Billy. Yeah, that's lovely to talk to you again. Mick, you missed Billy.
I've just been for a pee.
You missed Billy. Billy
You're kidding?
Cole. No, Billy. Billy Gibbons, the man.
Did he tell the Pearly Gates story?
He did.
Oh, wow.
Really compelling. Really compelling. My screen says something went wrong. Tap to retry. And there are many things that have gone wrong. But that, yeah, it was amazing.
Anyway, so he tells a story about Pearly Gates and everything?
He did. So we're up to speed.
Well, in a similar fashion, I went to Essex in a transit van to pick up that guitar. And I thought it was a story of similarly epic scope and proportion. So the black Strat is forever transit van.
Simon Neal says, I just came here. What the hell is going on? Welcome, Simon. Ah, oh, boy, oh boy.
It was... Michael Krause says, why is Billy Gibbons Scottish?
Oh, man.
Bryson Cook says you sound a bit Jamaican.
It's all there.
Well, look, it's Billy, it's not us, so don't blame us.
No.
Yeah, that's why. Hello from Houston, says Dave Oshman. Dave says, rock's not dead. It's been hiding under the disguise of red dirt country. Sex, drugs, Marshalls and Les Pauls. It's all there. And if you haven't heard of the Whiskey Myers, dude.
Wow.
I have opined on many occasions that rock is dead.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's definitely changing, but there are still, once we get past this whole pandemic malarkey, I think everyone's busting to get out there. The guys who are, I've had some guys come and get their gigs done at, and Swindon, and we've got people queuing up because they've got so many gigs on.
Nice.
Yeah.
They all playing Kempers?
No, actually, believe it or not.
That's why I think rock and roll is dying, is because the aesthetic of rock and roll is dying.
So we had our first rehearsal a couple of weeks ago with Paul Stacey on guitar. He brings in a 1962 Bassman head and plugged it into my matchless cab and cranked it. And it was like, holy.
Awesome.
It was remarkable.
What
Actually, I've got a clip of a.
So is that blonde then? 62.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like I had to reevaluate everything really quickly because it's been that long since I've been, doing a loud thing. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is fun. Just turn the gain down on lots of stuff. Opened up the amp a bit. But yeah, there is being in that atmosphere where you have volume as a vehicle for dynamics.
Yeah.
Forget about it. It was just everything.
Forget about it.
It reminded me why I wanted to play guitar in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Different thing.
So good.
Kevin says, rock's not dead. It's just too busy eating itself. It's a deep comment. Deep weird. Vic says, sounded more like Billy Connolly. A lot of people think I've gone north of the border there, Dan. I mean, Billy went north of the border.
Very good.
Okay, right. Where are we then?
Drag Sound says, kind of like Billy, but not enough swears.
Yeah. Hi, DNM, says Brad Jackson. I'm assuming that's not Brad Jackson of Jackson Amp Works. He's called Brad. Anyway, hello, Brad.
Hello, Brad.
He says, thanks for everything you are doing. Question for Mick about the JCM 900. Why do you dislike it? I've had one since 1999 and it's been my only Marshall. I'm wondering what I may be missing. You're not missing anything, Brad. If you love it, you're not missing anything at all. I didn't like it because I thought it was too gainy. I preferred the 800. Seemed to be a bit less gainy to me. I also thought the more stuff they chucked in there, so the triple channel ones, I thought it was just too much stuff.
Right.
Too much stuff. I like single channel amps and anyway, yeah, I felt it was a bit more rock voiced, which is a really stupid thing to say about Marshall. More modern rock voiced, moderner rock voiced. Whereas if you think about something like a Plexi, until you modded it or added an overdrive pedal or cranked it up to 10, which so few people actually did, never really sounded like that sort of more modern, scoopier rock that we're talking about. You would have to mod it. You would have to do something to get it to that. And I think by the time the 900s came around, just too much gain for me, too much gain.
Right.
And just wasn't my sound. I know Rabir Masad absolutely loves them, which might say a lot that he really likes them and I really don't. Probably explains exactly everything I've just been talking about.
I used a 900 for quite a while, actually.
You liked it?
In Australia? It was utilitarian. It did a lot of stuff. And it was loud when I needed it to be loud.
Yeah.
But then I discovered the Music Man, which just had just awesome headroom.
Yeah.
And so I was playing mostly that. But I used the 900 for a long time.
Yeah. I think, in retrospect, probably using a cleaner mode and just cranking it up, I rather suspect it would sound as glorious as
that's exactly what I did.
As every other Marshall sounds when you crank it, and it sounds great. So yeah, maybe a little bit of inexperience on my part, certainly back then in the 90s when I had them. The other guitar player in our band had one, and I always thought it sounded awful.
Right.
But what did he move to after that? He had Music Man amps before that. I think he had a brief dalliance with and to be fair, it was a 112 combo as well, which doesn't help. And then he moved on to a Boogie rack system, and that was like
the end.
Something different again. Yeah. Anyway, yes, you're not missing anything, Brad. It's me that would have been missing it for sure. William Young. I went to the Biffy Glasgow Green show a couple of weeks ago, and it just made me think, screw finding my own sound. I just want to do that. Dan.
Man.
Were you lucky enough to work on their new record?
No, that was the record that I worked on them with was Balance Not Symmetry. But they're still using all our stuff, and I was really unfortunate actually because I was ill on my birthday and they had invited me and the family to come up and hang out with them at Cardiff. And it would have been Zach's first ever gig as well. And I just wasn't well enough to go. I was absolutely gutted. But Liv and I saw them a couple of weeks previous at Reading. But man, just if you ever get the chance to go and see Biffy live, it is an emotional experience. I'll never forget when I first saw them live. It was it Isle of Wight, and I'd been friends with with Richard for a long time, and they were using some of our stuff. I said, "Oh, come up," and I remember I stood there from side of the stage, right, and like this, and because I was really into their music. I have my arms folded, and they start, and I remember it was about, I don't know, a couple of minutes in, the arms start to go like this, and then before long, and I'm there, and I'm air guitaring, like, it was just so much fun. Yeah, but like rock done just so brilliantly well.
Yeah, rock is definitely not dead when they're around.
Yeah,
it's most wonderfully alive. Right, I'm going to turn the super chats off because we are not going to get through them. So if you super chatted up until now, we will answer. If you haven't, we will not. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So we'll work through everyone who super chatted up until now.
Yeah. For anyone that is a bit confused by that, if we the super chats, if we don't turn them off, because we'll be here for a couple of hours just answering the ones that we've got, and if we wait for another half hour, we'll be here until tomorrow.
Yeah, which would be all right, but we're filming tomorrow, so we need to go and have meat feast.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a small glass of wine and just make sure everything's okay. Wutipong Wongakul-dej. And I apologise for not being able to say your name. He says, "Hi Mick, I remember you got a piano many moons ago. Are you still playing it? How do you find it comparing to guitars?" No, I'm not playing it at all. I did learn enough when I had it to help me in composition.
It was really impressive how quickly you learned it.
Well, it was Jack Duxbury. Jack gave me the only piano lesson guitar players ever need. If you want that, I think it's on the Andersons channel somewhere.
With the Jack Duxbury,
how to play piano for guitar players.
Fantastic.
Something like that. It's really good. But no, I play even less piano than I play guitar, and I play no guitar. So I got a drum kit too. Don't play that either. It's ridiculous. Midlife crisis fully in action. Right. My screen keeps going weird.
Mark Rostian says, does Biffy ever tour in the US? They do. They absolutely do. But I'm not sure what their schedule is going to be like. But yeah, they absolutely do. Keep an eye on it. Certainly worth going to see.
Bobbler42. Hello. He says, one for Dan. Having got making plans for Nigel as an earworm, I tried to find XTC CDs. Seems not to be able to find any. Why?
Oh, no idea. Because I've bought them all. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they've. I don't know what the situation is. I know that Stephen Wilson had remixed a couple. I don't know if they were ever re-released on Ape Records. But if you go to... Oh, boy. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Amazon have got a few.
There you go. Of course they do. Amazon.
Yeah. English Settlement. Available tomorrow. If you're in the UK, don't know where you are. Sorry, apologies. Drums and Wires. Blu-ray audio. My God, does that still exist?
It might be the remix.
Right.
Yeah.
Nucleus 1888. I started playing larger gigs with my band. Big Papa and the New Wayward Children. Big Papa and the New Wayward Children. At higher volumes, my tone feels more sterile and less organic. Les Paul Special with P90s, pedals, Supro 1968 RK. What's the deal?
So, very interesting message from BV for you to have a look at your phone. Right, so what's happening there is you've got your pedals set up to work with a cleaner amplifier, right, with more headroom. But what's happening is, as you turn your amplifier up, the dynamics of the amp are limiting because the amp is limiting sooner. So if you've got your pedals set up to limit, going into an amplifier that is limiting, you are reducing your dynamic range even more. So what you'll need to do is get to a point, turn the pedals off, get the amp at a gig volume. So if this means going to a rehearsal space or whatever, get the amp to a point where you can turn it up and feel what that's like, and then adjust the pedals. Because the amp is going to react totally different at gig volume. Yeah, so that thing of limiting pedals into a limiting amplifier can absolutely seem really sterile because you've just got rid of all your dynamics. Turn the gain back down on the pedals and just use the voicing of the pedals more than anything, and the boost working with that the limiting of the amplifier.
It's a difficult one, that Nucleus. He's, I agree with everything Dan said. I guess the issue here is defining what you mean by more sterile and less organic. Because for me, the louder everything gets, it's the opposite. It's always the opposite of that. It always gets less sterile and more organic because you have that. Well, it's just louder. But if what he says is right, because the 68 RK is a pretty small amp, right?
Right.
10 watt thing, I think.
Right.
Maybe 15 watts, small amp. So yeah, it's going to crap out fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So it could be that. It could be that. The other thing, of course, you all right, Bebbers?
Yeah, just to say lanyards are live on the store now.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Daniel's wearing a That Pedal Show lanyard, which, for those of you who don't know, is the bit of stuff that goes around your neck, not the thing that's attached to it. That's a pass. That's a lanyard. We got a bunch done for TPS Experience Days, and so we thought we'd sell them in the store as well. Yeah. Anyway, lanyards available in the store if you need a lanyard for anything such as, I don't know, your keys, your work pass, going to festivals, or hanging things from places that you can hang things from.
With lanyards.
Yeah. They are useful, actually.
Very useful.
Yes.
The other thing is that that amplifier just might not be cutting it at gig volume.
Yeah.
Try
and, I know this might sound slightly ridiculous, just try knocking the guitar back a hair. You might find it comes alive a bit there. Because, P90s...
Yeah, that's very true.
Compress, and then you get into that, and it might just find it comes alive a bit if you just knock it all back a bit. Anyway, sorry, what he said, turn the gain down, you should be back in the game.
Indeed.
Steve Mass again. I'm getting into latency using an Apogee Jam Plus interface into Logic with Neural DSP plugin. Would a more expensive audio interface improve the latency, or is the latency more likely from the plugin?
You'll have to answer this one. I struggled with this when I was recording my EP. The only thing that I could do was stick a mic on an amplifier.
So you've got two types of latency you're talking about. One is the latency created through the digital
medium
chain, but that ought to be, negligible. It should be as negligible as it is playing through a digital amp, and as long as you're not trying to match up two amps together, so you've got a phase problem, it shouldn't really be an issue. If what you're talking about is latency created by the audio interface, because you're listening to what's being recorded, not what is being, not the monitor, then there's probably a setting somewhere on the, just read the manual for the Jam Plus interface. There should be a little button that says, I either listen to what's being recorded or I listen to what's coming in at the input. And that happens in Logic, that you've got a little eye, which you can click. Because if you try and listen to what's coming through the audio interface and what's coming out of Logic, that's when you get your latency problem. So you've just got to make sure you're listening to the right thing. It's a really common problem with digital recording, so there should be loads of YouTube videos explaining it much better than I can.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, it's to do with what the Apogee thing is saying to Logic and making sure you've got the right thing clicked in Logic so that you're listening to the right thing. Now, if the latency in the Apogee thing is so horrific and it doesn't have a direct monitoring option, that seems a bit odd for a company as forward-thinking as Apogee.
Seems a bit odd. Apogee.
So yeah, do a couple of Google searches for videos on monitoring without latency. Try that, and you should be able to solve that in your chain. No doubt the comments section will be a light explaining what I've just tried to explain a bit better.
Indeed.
Josh.
Oh, buffer size, says Chinook. That's very good.
Yeah. In addition to that, most sound cards you can change the buffer size, and that all depends on how powerful your computer is.
Yep.
So
very good.
Josh, we've got a question from you, but no question yet. Oh, BV, thank you for moderating as always, and
legend.
Thank you for sending me updates. Josh, will come to you if I get it through. Matt Lloyd. Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Nice to hear from you. He says, sorry it's been so long, guys. No need to say sorry, Matt. A lot has happened. I hope you're both well. Thoughts on an AC15 versus AC30. Have you tried a Mesa Boogie Rectiverb 25?
I have tried a Rectiverb and loved it.
25?
Don't know if it's 25.
Would have been in the last 7-6 years.
No. Yeah. No. But so the Rectiverb that I think it was a 50 watt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Standard straight. It's one of my favourite.
Stunning amplifier.
One of my favourite.
Absolutely stunning amplifier.
Oh, I've played all the 25s and I like them all.
Right.
Obviously, it really depends how loud you play. Because one of the things I find with the bigger Boogs, certainly the 100 watt ones, which...
bigger Boogs! Boogs!
Of which I've had many down the years, they do sound pretty awful at low volume, I think. You know, you need to get that transformer and the speaker working. One of the great benefits of the 25 watt ones is they're, you know, properly spec'd for their wattage, so you can get the thing working. But AC15, AC30 is all about Dan.
The AC15 that we use to record sometimes, every time I hear it back recorded, it's like, man, it's such a fantastic sounding amplifier. And in the room as well, I love it. The AC30 that I've got is a really old one, and it just has a thing. Every time I plug into it, it's like, it's magic. It's sort of made for that band mix, right? Sort of low cut, you know, it's all mids. Wicked. But the new ones sound great. It all depends on context. Everything's context, right? So like who was saying before about having an amplifier and they're turning up at gigs and everything's changing. If the AC15 is going to be loud enough for you, then go with the AC15. It's a killer. But if you're playing some gigs where you need to be able to, you know, get a bit of wah-hey going.
Yeah.
AC30. It's such a hard sound to beat.
Yeah.
If you need some extra love.
It's a difficult thing to say that it's not loud enough. In the video coming up on Friday, I say that the Tone King Imperial Mark II is not loud enough, which is not right.
Yeah.
What I mean is it doesn't have enough clean headroom for the situation, this particular situation that we're discussing. Same with the AC15. I bet dB-wise, it's not a million miles off the AC30 when it's cranked, but it's about the headroom. It's about where do you want it to start breaking up. And then, of course, most AC30s tend to be 212s. Most AC15s tend to be 112, although there is a 212 version of the AC15. And that has a huge effect on the overall experience of all of it. I have to say, for recording, I prefer the 15.
Yeah.
Just
Easier
seems
to record.
easier to work with it.
Yeah.
But for playing live, definitely 100% the 30
yeah.
just for the headroom. Yeah.
Justin Baylor wanted to say thanks to the TPS family for everything. I'll catch you in a few weeks. In the meantime, I'll grab a hoodie. Thanks, Justin.
Justin, thank you
Don't know
so
where
much.
you're going for a few weeks, but have fun, mate. See you soon.
Yeah. Whatever that few weeks entails, may it be not too traumatic or horrible. May it be good. Jacob Bartelt. Hello, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
He says, I did my first gig with my church on Saturday since the pandemic.
Well done, mate.
And it was amazing. Wet, dry with cranked amps. Wow, cranked amps in church. I thought that was all over, but we
See the size of some of these churches.
We have been hearing from church players who can use amps. That's cool.
It's great, mate. Well
he says,
done.
can't thank you enough for your knowledge and inspiration, but now I need a volume pedal for swells. What are your recommendations?
Oh, boy. Okay. All depends on... So we've done some volume pedal shows before. Worth going to have a look at that, because where you put the volume pedal in your chain makes a massive difference to the sort of volume pedal that you need. So, for example, if what I want the volume pedal to do is just to control the gain of the guitar going into the pedals, I find a high impedance passive volume pedal works really well for that.
At the front.
Right at the front. However, if what you want to do is swells, stick your volume pedal after your gain stages, before your delays. That works really well, and then you can have a buffered volume pedal. So there's a bunch out there.
Ernie Ball make really great volume pedals.
Yep.
If you want something small, Dan and I both like the Dunlop Mini X. The only thing is, if you go for a really small one, it can be slightly harder to operate.
Yep.
Because the pivot of the travel is more sort of sensitive, as it were. So if you get a bigger one, you get your whole foot on it, it can be slightly easier to control.
Yeah. There's another large one, 24 volt. Oh,
Mission Engineering do them, Boss do them.
The Mission Engineering ones are fantastic, actually.
Ernie Ball. Loads of people use the Ernie Ball one, don't they?
Yeah.
Google whatever Mike Landau uses and buy that.
There you go. Great.
Albus Band. Hello, Aaron.
Sorry, the Lale volume pedal. That's what I was thinking of, the Lale volume one.
Spelled
beautiful.
Lehle. They're a German company.
Yep.
Albus Band, Aaron, he says, my dearest Legans, I've got a challenge idea. Draw a manufacturer from a hat and build a board from their line only.
Interesting.
Who are you hoping for?
Analog Man.
Jam.
Okay.
You can't go wrong with Boss.
No.
You couldn't go wrong with Walrus. JHS would see you pretty well.
Yep. I tell you what, Valbrook.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Valbrook.
Yeah,
I'm going Jam.
T-Rex.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Catlin Bread. That would work.
A Catlin Bread would absolutely work. Chase Bliss.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
It's me done.
Free the tone.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
That's great.
So we should make sure that none of those brands make it into the hat.
Right, okay.
And then actually make it a proper challenge, because I don't think we'd have any problem with any of those brands.
No, not at all.
So, yeah. Josh.
PV says Keeley. Yes, of course, Keeley.
Josh again. Josh, just in case this is you, which I don't think it is you, but we'll answer it now. James Roy, missing super chat. So if you are indeed James Roy, Josh, if you're not, we will discover that soon, given that we haven't read them all yet. Anyway, let's do that, just in case you are. Dagnammit, I didn't mean to make you hunt for my super chat. Thanks for everything you do. I'm loving my Monk and Dan's string set.
Oh, legend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. He says, what's your favourite end of chain boost or underdrive for a Princeton Reverb?
Ooh. So the Princeton's new to me, certainly new to this channel. Interesting. What have I been using with it? I've been using a Page Kingsley Page with it. Just ridiculous.
As an underdrive?
No, that's as a boost. As an underdrive for it, though, yeah, I'd have to have a play. Flowery Pants. We hung out with him in Germany.
Robin Trousers.
Was with Matt Schofield.
Oh, yeah. Harry.
From
Mad Professor.
Mad Professor. He makes an amazing underdrive pedal.
Yeah. He makes amazing pedals full
He
stop,
really does.
actually.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd love to try that
Yeah.
with the Princeton, because the Princeton, because of the it's just got that really lovely throaty mid-range in it.
Yeah.
So once that's kicking, I think you've got to be careful how you treat that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interestingly enough, I was helping Ainsley Lister, my friend Ainsley Lister, out with his little board just recently, and he, when he goes wet dry, his Rift signature amp has got a bit of grit in it. It sounds lovely, and he turns it up, and it's just such a great sounding thing. You'd love it. It's like pretty much midway between Marshall and Fender, which sounds weird.
Mender.
Fenchel. And it just sounds great. Anyway, alongside that, for his wet amp, he uses a Reverb. And that obviously doesn't break up in the same way, so he uses a pedal to get...
Right.
And the pedal, he said, oh, I'm just using this Mad Professor Royal Blue Overdrive. I'm like, cool, let's try a bunch of other stuff as well. So we went through like 10 of my favourite overdrives, and the Royal Blue just...
Wiped them.
Killed them all.
Yeah.
For that specific usage.
Yep.
So I'm going to say the Mad Professor Royal Blue Overdrive.
There you go.
Given that it was going into a Fender amp and kind of being used to crunch it up a bit. I know it's an underdrive, just turn it down.
You know what we should do? We should get Harry and whoever else wants to have a go, get Harry to build an overdrive for my match list and an overdrive for the 2-Rock.
Oh yeah, nice.
And we'll see what the designer is thinking about when they're designing for specific amplifiers. I reckon that'd be really interesting.
It certainly would, because one would assume that anyone designing an overdrive pedal probably needs to sit there with a Hot Rod Deluxe, a 65 Deluxe Reverb, and some kind of Marshall.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Which is tough. I have found an overdrive pedal, because I need more overdrive pedals, obviously. That is not on the market yet. That is pretty astonishing with the 2-Rock. So is
that the one we're playing today?
Yeah. So
yeah.
if that ever comes to market, that was pretty impressive.
Amazing.
Anyway, Jacob Bartelt. Hello, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
Again. He says, last week's show on delay.
I actually had a question about last week's show.
Flanger and chorus.
That didn't involve. It was too short.
Was mind-blowing. What are your current favourite flanger and chorus pedals?
Oh, okay. I'm loving the Thorpe, the Camouflage.
Camouflage, yeah.
It's really interesting. My heart is always with my Electric Mistress.
Yeah.
I'm just finding the Thorpe so tweakable. It's wonderful, but that mix control in it is so clever.
Yeah.
I put the Mistress in a wetter box just to add a bit of dry in, and I love that. That's built into the Thorpe. So that's really great. The what's it called? Not the Rotosonic. The Retrosonic is a nice flanger.
Do you like the ADA one, the small pedal one?
I do. It is tricky.
Yeah.
To get it, it's very tricky to get it in the right spot, like really, really finicky. But there's some nice sounds in that. But yeah, every time I plug into the Thorpe, it's like, yeah.
Chorus?
Favorite chorus pedal, I mean, the C1, nothing has ever really come close to that. Primarily because of the preamp in it. So if you remember when we were at the Boss exhibition, and I just said,
you used it as an overdrive.
Listen, everyone, this is my chorus pedal, and just cranked it. And everyone was like, pinned back to the wall, which I had to do because you were on fire that day. And I was like, okay, I need to do something here just to make some noise. However, the Analog Man by chorus.
That's
for
what
me,
I was going to say.
If I've got to go out tour tomorrow and I need a chorus sound, that goes on the board.
It's that, yeah. And Dan likes it at 15 volts. I'm going to add the Jam waterfall to that.
Yeah.
And actually, if you get it as a Ripley full, you get the phaser as well. I don't use
Stunning.
flanger, never have, don't know what it's for. Makes no sense to me, so I don't have a favourite flanger. But chorus, Jam Waterfall, I would say, or the Analog Man by chorus. And I'm a massive fan of the chorus that isn't chorus, the kind of tri-chorus dimension type sound.
Yeah.
So Roland Boss Dimension C, Dimension D, Dimension C?
Dimension C.
Yeah. Why did I say Dimension D? Was Dimension D the rack mat unit?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. But I have headroom problems with it, so the Free the Tone chorus does that sound too,
Yeah.
and it's a sort of higher fidelity version thereof. If you like that kind of tri-chorusy, dimension-y sound that isn't really chorus, it's something a bit different. Tri-Avatar, thank you.
Thank you, Alan McKelvey.
Yeah, that is absolutely my favourite one. Favourite chorus pedal, apart from the Jam Waterfall as a simple jobby.
Mm-hmm.
Plexico. He says...
Down Plexico Way.
Yeah. Oh, down in Plexico. Greetings, D&M. Can you share a tidbit? Interestingly, that it's called tidbit. I think in the UK it's titbit,
Okay.
isn't it?
I try not to judge.
Probably too offensive for Americans to say tit. Some great tits in my garden. Some really great tits. Blue tits.
Yep.
Coal tits.
Yep.
Long-tailed tits.
Oh, wow.
Lots of tits in my garden.
You have a special area where all the tits converge, right?
I've put up a thing that attracts the tits into the garden. I've even got 2 sets of binoculars so Catherine and I can sit there and look at the tits.
Catherine's a fan of tits as well.
Yeah.
Oh, well
yeah,
done.
yeah. We all love tits, Dan.
Yep. We just had a bunch of people offended and
Why?
jumped off. No. I don't know. Oh, this is interesting. Tyrone McKenna says the Roland RE301 has the most amazing chorus. CE1 circuit in
nice.
the tape echo and the reverb.
Really good
That'll be
shout.
my next. That'll be my next
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
then. If I find a 301.
Call Tyrone. Erica Badu. Better Call Tyrone.
Nathan J says, Dan, you're going to play that tally. I was playing it before. My beautiful 65. I've just fallen in love with this thing. So
And you're back to E flat.
back to E flat.
Are you going to be playing an E flat tomorrow?
I don't have to.
It does give you a massively unfair advantage.
I need it.
It makes all my guitars sound thin and plinky when you play an E flat. We might all have to be in E flat.
Okay. Fine.
So anyway, Plexico says, can you share a tidbit of your Abbey Road Studios visit?
We didn't discuss that today.
No. Is the studio and control all that? What really resonated for each of you?
Ah, man.
So first off, we just went to meet the people there to agree that we were going to do a show. We haven't actually been to do it yet. Which is totally remiss of us for not getting on it a bit sooner. But summer happened and...
Stuff, and I moved house, and we were just all...
Yeah,
completely
Dan
thrown
moved
out.
house. We are actually struggling enough to get the main show out each week at the moment, so we're sort of feeling a little bit squashed. But we have to do that.
Absolutely.
It was...
We will regret that for the rest of our lives if we don't do that.
It was among the most inspiring things I've ever witnessed, seen, been a part of. Yeah.
Yep. Just being in that room. So we had the tour and went through all the rooms at the studios, and the sound is so specific in there that they can't even they thought they'd varnished the floors once in Studio One where they do all the orchestras.
Yeah, right.
They varnished the floors. Orchestra came in, set up. They were in there for like 20 minutes before they said, no, it's too bright.
We're off.
Orchestra left. They had to sand the floors back or get rid of the varnish. And I mean, this was a long time ago, but now when they clean the floor, so it's a big parquet floor, they have to they pull out the individual bits of wood, clean it, put them back in. It's like the care they go to keep everything is mind blowing.
I think that hints at what impressed me most about it. I came back, I was enthusing so much, I could talk for an hour about it. But in short, I think we all think of Abbey Road like a museum.
Yeah.
Like this piece of music history that, was the Beatles. But and of course, utterly indelible mark on music forever. In fact, it's not even the indelible mark. The Beatles is music.
Yeah.
And so to say that it's much more than that is a big statement. But you go into one of these sort of entrance hallways where the stairwells are, and you've got all these beautiful black and white portraits, and they've all been taken in a similar way. So you might have a portrait of Paul Robeson, who, interestingly, was the first person to record at Abbey Road.
Right.
And you might have that picture next to, I don't know, Amy Winehouse or Adele or...
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, and because it's photography and because it's static and because they're all just beautiful shots, what struck me was the timelessness of it.
Yeah.
So there were people in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, obviously, next to the most cutting-edge contemporary musicians, and they're all doing their thing in that space.
Yep.
So that idea of it being just a museum is just not right at all.
No.
7.1 or mixes of the latest, well, it's probably 1001 mixes of the latest films, some of the Marvel films, I think, did he say were done there?
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings. I mean, so many of the great orchestration soundtracks and stuff were recorded there. But the cool thing is, I
was going to say, but the room that he was talking about, we walk in there and they go, oh yeah, this is where the Star Wars orchestra was. And they were watching the film as they do the old violins. It's like, oh my God, that's how you record a movie soundtrack in 1976 or whenever they did it. They're all sat there watching the blinking film, playing the...
Yeah. And there's, that's the Leslie that David Gilmour recorded... Shine On with, and
what, that one?
It's like what this actual one, that's
one.
it.
Yeah.
And you got the pianos there that the Beatles played, and all the mics that they used, and they're all still being used. That's the amazing thing is, it's like not just a museum, but all of those things you can walk in there and say, okay, well, today I want to use this and this and this and this to get this sound. It's all there. They've got an army of technicians there keeping everything working. Their mic drawers, oh my word,
I've never seen so many microphones.
It was just wonderful. Just wonderful. So we're going to go there and play the guitar.
Right. We do need to think of something meaningful to do there, which
I've had a couple of ideas.
Okay.
Basically, it's their 90th anniversary this year, and we're lucky enough that a couple of guys are fans of the show, and they've said, would you like to come down to Abbey Road and do something?
And we're like, what? I think you've got us confused with somebody else.
Are you sure? So looking behind us. So that will be remarkable.
James, we did just answer you, so hopefully that was good. Ian Fan says, I was recently down with COVID. Sorry to hear that, Ian. Hope you're doing okay.
Hope you're feeling better, mate.
You were a great distraction. My 2011 Mexican Strat makes my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe crunch. The pickups are too hot. Do you have any idea on cleaner pickups? Okay, this is interesting. On Friday is coming a video called something like, where do you go after the Hot Rod Deluxe? Because it is such a phenomenally popular amplifier. And for all the reasons we explain in the video on Friday, it sits right there in the middle of affordable, portable, loud, valve amps, and that's why they're so popular and why so many people love them.
Mm-hmm.
Dan's telly on 2.5 on the Hot Rod Deluxe had it crunching quite nicely. So us saying, yeah, it's high headroom, there's loads of headroom in it.
Up to a point.
It is high headroom, but that clean channel does go into overdrive.
Yeah.
I know that will sound...
But it was like 106, 107 dB.
Oh man, it is loud.
It was... And what was really interesting, I was there going, oh, it's too much, as in, much too much. But the way it felt that it was distorting, but recorded back was like, yeah, man, that really sounds fantastic.
It sounds good recorded. So all of which, the context of that, Ian, is to say that you could look for some weaker pickups. I would have thought in a 2011 Mexican Strat, they're not going to be crazy hot unless you've got like Texas Specials or something in there.
And try just knocking the height back a bit as well. You'd be surprised what a massive difference that can make. But the other thing that you can do is try a different first stage input valve.
Yes.
So you can go to something like a 12A-Y7 or a 12A-T7.
57, 51.
That's got a bit less gain than the 12AX7. That's actually a really common mod to do on things like the tweed circuits and things like that. Use that 12A-Y7 input valve. Yeah. Give that a go, because that can be really nice.
Don't know how you're running your EQ settings, but bear in mind that the bass, middle and treble, and indeed the presence, the higher you run them, the more gain you'll get. So it might be that you could just knock everything back a bit, and that will take a little bit of gain out of it as well.
Yep, great shout. I'm pleased with that answer. I thought that was very well rounded. Yeah, well done.
Well done.
I'm
good
pleased.
On you. Yeah. Big Shorty. I want a solo Dallas replica. Should I go for the classic or the Storm? Anyway, in the words of AC/DC, have a drink on me.
Spell? AC/DC.
AC/DC.
Where is it?
I haven't played them all. We've only played the one that we've got,
which
and
is
it
the
sounds
Storm.
Great.
So this thing. So if you don't know, AC/DC, Angus, Malcolm, were using these Schaefer wireless systems, and they've got a specific sort of preamp in there, and that was the only thing sort of between the guitars and the amplifiers. And they'd be in recording and plugging straight in, and they were having trouble getting that sound. So they would use the preamps in their wireless. And I was like, there it is. Surprise, surprise. Preamps, really important part of that thing. So the Solo Dallas, these are replicas of that preamp. And like into a cranked Marshall, it's like, wow, that's it.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
I'm not massively au fait with the differences between the Classic and the Storm. No doubt it will tell you all of that on the website. I've got a feeling the Classic is more expensive.
Right.
And probably more... I'm going to have to have a look now, aren't I?
Boutique.
More... it's more like the actual thing that Dear Angus used.
Okay. Hobo Roadie says the Compander effect. Yeah, so it may well be. And they use that Compander circuit to get as much of that information through specifically for wirelesses, but tape delays and analog delays to help reduce the amount of noise in the circuit. Very interesting. That's interesting, actually.
The
Very
Classic
interesting.
has a very strong mid-range and extra headroom. Yeah, okay. The Storm seems like it's a bit easier to use, it's less expensive, whereas the Classic is kind of the actual thing,
right,
much closer to the actual thing, which for whatever reason might make it a bit more difficult to use. Maybe it doesn't have the same controls or something. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. Gearman Dude has compared them.
Oh, cool.
Might be worth checking that out.
Oh man, I'd love to go and hang out with him again.
But
So much
I mean,
fun.
all we would say is that every time we've used that, we've really liked it, the
Yeah.
Storm. So certainly no complaints. And thanks for the drink.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi
bud.
TPS, says Alessandro Sivieri. Hello. He says, this weekend I tried at full volume the following: Keeley El Rey Dorado, The Very Thing, Soul Food, V4 the Copper, Katana 100. So he's using the V4 Copper preamp into the effects loop return of his Katana 100. So he's bypassing the Katana's front end and just using the power stage for that valve preamp thing. He says, I loved it, but when using the El Rey for rhythm, it was too difficult to boost for solos. Do you have any ideas?
Katana 100.
Yeah. Watch the video that we just did on pedals for people who don't like pedals.
Yeah,
And I think I
That's a
changed the
good
title
shout.
of it over the weekend called...
I hate pedals.
We've called it something else. Anyway, the thumbnail says I hate pedals. In that, we discuss headroom and volume. And
Yep.
the problem you've got is that the El Rey Dorado is so gainy, nothing that you do to it is going to make it any louder. Plus, from memory, it's a pretty mid-scoopy thing.
Mm.
So audibly, loads of gain, sounds lovely and like, yeah. But then actual audibility, volume-wise, the minute you try and boost it much louder, it's just crapping out.
Trying to amplify lower frequencies is much harder than mids or top end.
Yeah.
Takes a lot more energy. So, if you can get the amplifier and that pedal turned up loud enough to a point, and then for your solos, and then something else to knock that back. That's basically in a nutshell.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. What we're talking about in that video.
It's basically overdriving the front end of the copper too much, so it just can't get any louder. So the less exciting answer is you've got to turn the gain down. Less gain, more volume.
Yep. More dynamics back into the
Yeah.
system. Yep. There you go.
Good luck. George Radcliffe. Hello, George.
Hey, George.
He says, replaying dynamics and touch response. Which qualities tend to make the difference between some pedals that feel very touch sensitive while others seem much less responsive to dynamics?
So we're talking
man.
about this today, something that we may or may not film tomorrow.
Is it EQ, gain structure, or something else?
Well, it's just about the way that if you talk about gain structure and the way that, EQ is definitely a part of it, but the way that limiting happens in the gain structure. So, one of the things that's a pet peeve of mine is that, not to embarrass Mick, but when I hear Mick play and he's so dynamic and he's got that touch thing happening, right?
Dan's pet peeve.
Do Mick's moans?
Yeah. I think.
And then,
Dan's pet peeve.
hang on. Mick's moans.
No, I think it's. Mick's moans,
Yes.
isn't it? Mick's moans. That's what
Very
it should
good.
be.
Okay. So, Mick has this amazing dynamic range when he plays, right? He can play really soft, but then digs in. It's all lovely. Now, that played into a pedal where the gain is too limited. It's limiting those dynamics too much. You're going to miss out on a lot of that stuff. But a pedal that is voiced in a way to be touch sensitive, to take advantage of dynamics. Voicing a pedal like that, designing a pedal like it's hard. It's getting them right. And it can be the tiny difference with 10% of a value of a resistor value here or there can make all the difference in the world. but then even just the way that you're setting that pedal, you know, I hear it so often where it's so much gain.
Too gainy. Always.
And they lose the dynamics. But the thing that I find challenging with that is that if you play that for too long, then that's the way you end up playing. You end up playing without dynamics. And, you know, for some people that's the way they want. But if
really important to some styles,
absolutely.
isn't it?
But if what you want to do is learn to play with dynamics and touch,
you need a lot of volume.
You need a lot of volume for dynamics, because the other side of that coin is when you have the gain, everything turned up, it's actually really easy and really fun because everything is even and smooth because it's all limited, right? Yeah. Playing with that on the other side, where you can still hear the guitar and feel the guitar and you get all those dynamics, is a whole different thing.
I think it's about balance for me. So you say, George, you know, is it about gain? Is it about EQ? It's about all of those things, and it's about having the tone set at a point where it's on some kind of edge.
Right.
Matt Schofield always goes on about this, so that what you do as the player, and of course this is going to change because if you're heavy-handed Harry, then that place of edge is going to be very different than if you're, you know, light-touched Liam. What the hell? And
medium touch Marcus,
or indeed Lena, and so where it. Hello, Marcus, if you're watching, by the way, medium touch Marcus. So where you set everything is a huge part of it. But I also think it's about harmonics, because what is it that is response to you? Response to me is when I hit a note, there's a couple of things I want to hear. I want to hear, like if I'm going for and I'm deliberately using that downstroke on the side of the pick.
Oh, you're upstroking as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Nice.
Upstroke, sorry. Upstroke on the side of the pick. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear the side of the pick. So that there's got to be enough treble in the sound for me to hear that. Similarly,
that's nice.
An old friend of mine who I haven't seen or spoken to in years, so I don't even know if I can call him a friend anymore, but a guy called Marco Rossi massively inspired me as a guitar player. He played almost exclusively with upstrokes.
No way.
Yeah, or he played a great deal using upstrokes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I want to be able to hear all those inflections, and for that to come out. So EQ is important, but then harmonics is really important, because one of the things about dynamic feedback for me, and when I say feedback, I don't mean I mean just the feedback of the speaker and the guitar, is when you hear a note. And it's got everything. It's not being cut off. It's not being limited. And there is just a harmonic bloom that happens that's what feedback is for me. And then once you've got that, then I guess things like compression are important. So how fast do you want that? Do you want it like so fast that it does exactly everything that you want it? Or do you want, what could slow it down? Gain? Compression, blooming slew rate of the op amp, how gainy the amp is. So it's all about how fast does it go from there, and what happens to its gain characteristic as it goes all the way through. And if you unpick some of that and go back to first principles and process of elimination and try and make it as simple as possible and decide what it is you like, it's easier to build up from there. What absolutely 100% definitely kills it, and we're all guilty of this, is where you step on that third overdrive pedal and it's like, oh, it's just got quieter and it's all gone away.
Yeah.
And there's no dynamic there. But, sorry, just to finish the point, some listening that Dan and I were doing earlier, was a particular kind of sound we were listening to that is thought of as one thing, but actually is something quite different. And when you hear what it actually is, it's visceral, it's edgy.
Oh yeah.
It's loud.
Yeah, man.
And that being on the edge and being on the point of it sounding awful
is where it's at.
Is where your dynamic
so interesting
response comes in, because you have to rein it in and control it back so that you can step over the edge again.
And what's happening there is that sound is actually informing your guitar playing. So, for example, when Mick's talking about the harmonics and all that stuff, it's the difference between you playing a note and hearing all that stuff and just enjoying that. Or you play the note, it's not there, and you want to go into stuff immediately because you're not being informed by that sound. Anyway.
Yeah,
we could go on about this for ages.
I could talk
really big deal.
I could talk about it all day because it literally is everything about guitar. It's everything about guitar tone.
Yeah, totally. Krista Dittman says, can you give a brief overview of that beautiful butterscotch telly, year, mods, etc.? This is 1965. And just, let's see. It's actually got older Fender pickups in it, but everything else is basically as it was in 1965. It is my love. It is my life.
It has been refinished.
It has been refinished. That's right.
But it is an exceptional refin.
Yeah, and it was refinished a long time ago. And it's, Here you go, Krista, just because you want to see it. And it's pretty.
If anyone wonders why I cover my eyes, it's because the lens has, the camera has eye recognition, so that's what it focuses on. Peter P. he says, what are the specs on the Collings you ordered, Mick? I just received my i30 and I am in love. Cheers, you modern guitar legends. That's the first time anyone's called us modern, Dan. Thanks, Peter. It's an i30 LC, which means laminate construction. I don't know if I'm assuming, given that it's called LC, there must be a carved one as well. But it's an i30 LC in the standard sunburst aged.
So laminate, like a
335.
IKEA
Yeah.
bookshelf.
Yeah.
And just stick some pickups in it. And
I've gone for the Ron Ellis pickups. You can have throwbacks, Lollas, or Ron Ellis.
That's amazing.
And to be honest, I'd be happy with absolutely any of them. But I love Ron Ellis with all my heart, so I've gone with Ron's pickups. I think I'm still about a year away from it, so I don't think it's going to be here anytime soon, but I'm pretty excited about that guitar.
That's so good, mate.
Yeah, and congrats, Peter. It's so good that you're in love. For anyone who... we all like different things about guitars, right? I remember seeing my first Collings guitar and just going, wow, this is from another planet. This is a different thing, because there are plenty of guitar makers that can make really, really, really beautiful things. What Collings does for me, and the reason I love them so much, is because they do, it's like a vintage guitar perfectly made modern. And stuff like the quality of the finish, the cleanliness of all the lines and the cuts in the intricate areas.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the headstock, it's just like perfectly tapered off. When they do their P90 covers, they don't just make them out of plastic and bend them over. They machine them so they fit the top of the... It's all that stuff I just don't care about on Fenders.
Yeah.
Like, the worse the Fender is, almost the happier I am. But when you see... And I've been to Collings and I've watched them do it, and it's like, oh my God, this is just a different world.
The other part of that, because you were quite close to Bill.
Yeah, and I know, and I knew Bill, and I spent some time with Bill and some of the other people there, and
you've seen the.
He means a lot to me.
Yeah, you've seen the intention that goes into building these instruments.
Yeah.
It's very similar way that I feel to getting my Kingsdown done through Johnny Kincaid.
Johnny, yeah.
Because I've known him for 15 years, and I've been idolizing his guitars for so long, never, and finally getting one built. But knowing the attention to detail, and it
means a great deal. That personal connection
deal.
means a great deal. Yeah. Some people might write that off as not being objective, or objective would be the right word. But I could talk for 2 hours on the philosophical and psychological implications of objectivity. Anyway, let's not do that. Josh, we've got Josh. Josh has resent his super chat. We should see it on the list soon. Gary Stewart, we've got a super chat from you, Gary, with no questions, so hopefully we'll pick that up. Adrian Jordan. Hello, Adrian.
Hello,
Nice,
Adrian.
always nice to hear from you. He says, happy Bunday legends. Since starting to play live again post-lockdown, I've had compliments on my playing. I thought it said complaints, and I was going, oh no. Compliments on my playing, that's much better.
Well done.
Which I put down to finding gear that suits my playing style, which I put down to this channel.
Oh, mate, that is awesome.
That's the best
Well
thing.
done.
That is just the best thing. Thank you so much.
Well done.
And whether it's us or whether it's anyone else, it's just fantastic.
Whether it's us or whether it's anyone else, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Congrats, Adrian. That's really cool.
Brilliant, mate. Well done.
Guitar Moog. Any thoughts on the Supro Delta King 10 and 12? I'm looking for something dirty tweedy with reverb that I can control from the guitar as a lightweight grab and go alternative to my Fillmore 50 head and cab by Mesa.
The Supros are beautiful.
Yeah.
Have we got that? What is it? The
We've got the Black Magic. I really like that
It's
amp.
wonderful.
I really, really, really like that amp.
Yep.
Haven't played a Delta King 10 and 12, but it sounds like we should. Fillmore 50 is going to have a tremendous amount of headroom, so just make sure that if you play loud and clean, nope, dirty tweedy with reverb, yes, just do it.
Magic.
Just do it. Yeah. Aaron Dempsey, hi Aaron. Thoughts on an amp to pair with my 65 Fender Deluxe Reverb for a wet dry rig, and which should be wet. I'm playing a Telly with a Jerry Donahue bridge pickup. So we're going to assume by that, Aaron, that you like the cleaner side of things and maybe some Jerry type sounds.
Oh well, I had a Telly with a Jerry Donahue pickup in it for years. Actually, that was the guitar I was playing before I had Red. That pickup rocks.
Right.
So it's not just, it's had, it's got bite and snarl to it too. It can be, any bridge pickup in a Telecaster can do that, right? Yeah.
Seymour Duncan, Vintage Hot. Now that's interesting. Musical treble attack, Telecaster twang, Alnico 2, yeah. Yeah. So interestingly about Jerry, I don't know, other than having been lucky enough to meet him a few times over the years, watching him play and seeing him on videos and stuff. I think Jerry had a pretty light touch.
Right.
Very dynamically light touch.
Right.
And so having that extra grunt
sense
from the pickup would make sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, what goes well with the Deluxe Reverb reissue? Pretty much anything.
It's a remarkable amp.
Yeah.
And you'll see more of that this on Friday. Let's see. You could, even something tweedy.
Yeah.
Would be nice, and use the tweedy thing for the dry and the deluxe for the. However, if what you're doing is playing loud, and you want to crank the deluxe reverb up and use that, then you could look at something like a V140 or a high watt or something that's got character, but still headroom.
More realistically, volume wise, Hot Rod Deluxe would be fine. If you want to go up, if you want to go up from the Deluxe Reverb, if the Deluxe Reverb feels a bit too loud for you, you could look at a Pro Junior.
Right.
Would work really well. And it might be
AC15.
Yeah, AC15 is a great shout. It might be an idea to look for an amp that sort of fills in the mid scoop that the Deluxe Reverb reissue has, and for that, the aforementioned Supro Black Magic would be a great shout. AC15 would be a great shout. Pro Junior would be a great shout. Hot Rod Deluxe would be a great shout. It's pretty much anything. It's just whether you want it louder or quieter.
Yeah. But it's an easy amp to pair something with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take my money, says David Smith. Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
Also, do you have any practice suggestions for being a cleaner player? Other than
I'm going to refer to you to this because this is interesting.
Other than plugging in, which is why I'm asking. So the inference in that, David, is that you don't plug in, but
Well, it doesn't plug into practice.
Yes,
perhaps.
yes. That was going to be my first answer, is play a bit louder.
Yeah.
And cleaner.
What's really interesting that happens when you... I played very quiet for a long time because I was almost self-conscious of turning things up. Because what happens when you turn things up, you can hear yourself. Right? It's that simple. So turn up and listen to what you're doing. Actually, that is a skill in itself. And it sounds silly, but being able to play, and not just hear, but being able to play and listen to what you're doing is really hard.
Yeah.
But when you become aware at volume, it's like, oh, I can dig into that and that'll happen. But, you know, I'm not really hitting those notes cleanly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about dynamics. And again, it goes back to this conversation we're having about, you know, if you've got a really flat, limited sound, you can end up playing with very little dynamics because any dynamics that you use are lost. But a sound with dynamics, you hear everything, and therefore you can develop your playing, your dynamic playing.
Yeah. What do you want to play cleanly would be a good question to ask yourself. Because if you're progressing faster than your technique allows, then you need to do some work on the technique itself. And that could be as simple as alternate picking, could be as simple as playing scales. You know, scales are pretty boring to play, but they are quite good for basic motor action. Do some finger exercises. This is all leaning on the what I would call the sort of motor action side of things, and it could be as simple as your pinky's just not very good, or you think you're playing cleanly but you're not. There was a great exercise called the spider.
Oh yeah.
Which basically revolves around
spiders
playing one fret down and up on each string, but going down and up. And I think it kind of goes. So you're going up, but you're going down. It also sounds like jazz, which is really cool. But
yeah,
there's loads and loads. That's called the spider, and you can go up and down. But what did I do there?
Well, you're swinging, but you're also dynamic. You're
I'm
using
playing
different
triplets, am I?
Yeah. No, groups of 4.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So it's not just necessarily about the notes you're playing, but then you can use different time feels for it as well and emphasize different notes and all that. And there's really, really boring motor action stuff that people who care about the guitar, learning to play the guitar, do.
You're very good at that stuff. What amazes me is your right hand. So if I've got to do anything like that, that is precise. I've got to anchor fingers here.
Yeah.
But I think because of your beefy forearm, you're able to do like, you know, move quite effortlessly.
I normally have a...
You didn't before. I think now you're just conscious of it. Anyway.
Yeah, all that. And one note per fret.
But you do strike very cleanly. It's very nice.
And don't go too quickly too soon. You just sit there watching EastEnders.
And your wife will love it if you're sat there watching things and you're playing those atonal finger exercises.
Yeah.
Generally, I find that the members of your family will look at you and go, I'm enjoying this. I've come home from work today and I just want to sit down and relax. And I'm really glad you're doing that because that
helps me.
This is helping me relax.
Yes. So that's on the motor side, but actually, and that it's really important to build that, and you know, we all get to a point. I can do the basic stuff okay, but there's no way I could play, you know, Paul Gilbert type sweeps. I've never developed my technique in that way. So we've all got a natural ceiling to wherever you feel comfortable. I would say the bare minimum is being able to play things like one note per fret.
I found Gary Stewart's question.
But do it to a metronome and don't speed up like I just did. But then on the other side of that, sorry, I will hurry up.
It's all right.
It's the mental side of it, and a lot of the block to most of us is either not fully understanding what we're supposed to be playing and bluffing it. So it's really important to really know. And secondly, removing the barrier between being scared to play. Because then what happens when you've spent 2 years doing this, and you go and play your first gig, you go, because you're so nervous. So you need to remove the middleman as well, or the middle person, and just and feel it. And I don't know how you do that other than just by playing a lot.
Yeah. Very good.
Anyway, I don't know if that's helpful or not really.
You answered Gary Stewart's question,
yeah.
I believe. So Gary Stewart says, my question got split from my super chat. Thoughts on pedal order for D&M drive and a Mark II preamp? Chase Bliss say the Mark II should be first, but I know Dan puts other gain pedals in front of his. I do. I have my Mark II in the in a G3 loop, so I can basically put it wherever I want. But I will have a treble booster going into the Mark II as well. Just experiment. If you've got a D&M drive, and depending on how you're using those gain stages.
That's it.
So if you've got a D&M drive and you're using mix side as a lovely mid-range, mid-hump boost, then stick it after. But if, you know, and it might be that you might have my side, you know, like gain all the way down and a bit of top end in there just to add a bit more sizzle and a bit more limiting. That can be really cool. But if you're using, well, the other side of that is, of course, you might not be stacking them at all, and then
in which case it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. So predominantly, what sounds are you going for? If you need to boost into the preamp Mark II in order to create an overdrive sound that way, D&M first. If actually you find yourself leaning on some of the gainier sounds in the preamp Mark II and what you want out of the D&M drive as a solo boost, then put it after.
Yep.
It's tough because I don't think we'd be rubbishing the D&M drive too much to say that the sort of clarity, fidelity and headroom of the Chase Bliss preamp is in a different league to the D&M drive. I mean, the D&M drive is a really great overdrive pedal. The Mark II is like, it's a massive sounding thing.
Yeah, very much that. You know, we love the Benson preamp. It was a revelation when we first played that thing, and all of that fidelity is available in the Mark II. It's just programmable.
Yeah,
it's really, really cool.
I bought an American Mustang Special with split coil on both humbuckers, says Like Lions. Any suggestions on a humbucker that works particularly well with coil split?
I would love if anyone has got thoughts on this, because I haven't heard one.
My PRS DGT sounds pretty good in the coil split position.
Oh yes. I heard Rob Harris did the same thing with his PRS, and the split coil sounds he got out of it for the clean thing sounded wonderful. So that's a really good shout.
Yeah, the pickups in the UPEG custom guitar that I borrowed from Anderson's, they were astonishing. Because I think it would be fair to say neither Dan nor I are big fans of split coil sounds. It's a different world, which is not to say they're like bad or anything. It's just not something we've grown up on. I don't know if anyone does a coil tap anymore. So difference between a coil split and a coil tap. Coil split is where you basically turn one of the coils off. Coil tap is where you have some sort of variable control
Okay.
on the whole pickup,
Right.
I think. Anyway, most of the time it's coil split, and you'll know that because on the wires, instead of 2 wires, you've got 4 wires, and that's how you wire it to the switch. But yeah, most modern pickup manufacturers do a split version. So Seymour Duncan, Bare Knuckle. I'm going to say Bare Knuckle. Bare Knuckle make ace pickups.
Yep, they really do.
And Reverb uses them.
Yep.
There you go. Josh. Josh. And sorry we missed you earlier, Josh. He says the Telecaster episode really did it for me. And now I'm the proud owner of an American original Telecaster thin line.
Ah, man. Well played.
Question. Kingsley Page as an overdrive. Thoughts?
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Just make sure you don't get the DS version.
Yeah.
And I think Simon might have updated the line now, but it used to be that there was one that was designed to be used as a pedal overdrive boost and one that was designed to be used as a preamp. It's very clear on Simon's website which is which, and I actually think he may have updated it. But in any case, yes.
Just magic.
All those things we talk about, organic, transparent, touch sensitive.
Dynamic, all there. Harmonics.
Just yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. Leon Baron. Leon Baron says, thanks for the tip on using a buffer when using the guitar volume to clean up. My first gig in 18 months and the tip was a game changer.
Well done, bud.
Good on you, Leon.
Wonderful.
Or Leon. Corey Nichols, happy Monday leg ends. When I find a brand or company putting out good gear, I'm all in. Lola, Bare Knuckle, Chase Bliss. Not sure if you've ever played the Weber speakers, but I think you'd love them. Weber. Yeah.
Okay.
We should try them.
I think I've got a couple. I think the speakers in my Alnico speakers that I put in the Vox AC10.
Oh, wow.
They were Webers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think there's quite a wide range, isn't there?
There's massive.
You got Weber carbs on your Hillman Imp as well, haven't you?
Yes. I was going to say that.
Did you try your underdrive trick with the Spaceman Saturn 6 Saturday night through my Silvertone Twin 12 and it worked like a charm?
Fantastic.
Sorry, not did you. I did. Says right. James Roy.
Well done, James.
Oh, that's cool. That's really good.
Yeah.
I love that. I just love when it's
something you can do that helps.
Something that we say helps and it works. Awesome.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Ben Keane, big up TPS Catherine and Sean from Keeley. My label maker D&M drive packed up. Probably user error. Ben, we're so sorry to hear that. It does happen. Catherine hooked me up with Keeley. Sean, USPS lost the parcel. It's, you know what? Anyway, Sean built me a new one. Back to the UK in 2 days. Legends all.
Ah, fantastic.
We're so glad that got sorted out for you, Ben, and that Catherine was able to sort of act as middle person there and get it all sorted for you. You know what is really interesting? Whenever there's a problem,
it's a cable.
It always turns into a compound problem.
Right.
So someone's got a problem with they got sent the wrong T-shirt or they ordered the wrong T-shirt size or something like that. Guaranteed, the next one will get lost in the post.
Right.
It's
Comes
like
in threes.
Cornucopia of errors.
Nice.
Anyway, Ben, we're super glad that it's all sorted out for you.
Cornucopia of errors. A good name for a band.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I've
Cornucopia of errors.
You know, I was talking last week about my Vince Gill tribute band.
Yeah. Yes.
I decided I'm not going to have a Vince Gill tribute band. I mean, there never was going to be one, by the way. It was definitely a parallel universe kind of situation. But in the spirit of that, I've come up with a band name.
Tell me.
This is what we do when we buy loads of gear, put a set list together, come up with a band name and never go and do any gigs. So that's where I'm at.
Right.
And the band's going to be called the Broken City Shakers.
That's very good.
Do you like it?
I do.
I googled it and I couldn't find any bands called the Broken City Shakers. So if anyone comes out with a band called the Broken City Shakers now, you heard it here first.
Yeah. Very good.
Everyone is Googling Broken City Shakers.
That's great. I sent a list of band names, suggested band names, to my fellow band members, and I haven't heard back from any of them.
No.
That's the response I got.
Broken City, Broken Shaker. There's a cocktail bar in New York. No Broken City Shakers.
Well done.
Calling
I think
dibs
you
on
covered.
Broken City Shakers, all right?
Right. In a parallel universe, Vince Gill is in a Mick Taylor tribute band. From
Oh
Alan
man,
Rutherford.
how bad it turned out for Vince.
That's brilliant.
Oh my God, yeah. Where he can't sing those harmonies. How many band name suggestions did you go through before you descended into private parts humour and fart jokes?
No, well, I didn't. No, I sent a WhatsApp to the four of them, and that was my working title.
Nice, yeah.
Okay.
It's unbroadcastable, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
This is a family show.
But yeah, I sent out at least 12 suggestions, because
Let me see your suggestions.
I mean they're just stuff to get the conversation going.
I Am Spiders is my favourite.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
That is definitely my favourite.
Yeah.
That sounds suitably proggy too.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. Yeah. Anyway.
I Am Spiders. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Anyway. No, not a word.
Not a word. No one's interested. My friend Patrick Eggle, the Patrick Eggle who makes guitars, he has he had, I don't know if he still has, I played with him a couple of times, a pub band called the Guitar Bastards. It's just the best name for a band.
Not the Guitastards.
Well, that, you know, I think you've added too much intelligence to it there, Dan. Because if you see that title, the Guitar Bastards, you know what that gig's going to be, don't you? I think the first tune in the set was a ZZ Top song.
Nice.
Like, yes, this is what I want.
Very good. We play number 2 after the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Harvard. Hi from Virginia, gents.
Hey, Jay.
I'm playing in a duo where my partner plays only acoustic and I play electric. When he takes a solo, my electric rhythm sounds so thin. How do I thicken up my sound? Multiple amps, multiple output guitar.
Interesting. I used to play in a trio, acoustic guitar, electric guitar and drums. And it's a tricky thing, right? So if you are strumming a rhythm over an an amplified acoustic guitar, it can be really tricky because you're dealing with a whole, dynamics and all that stuff.
That's what the waveform looks like.
Yeah. So getting out of the way of that is the biggest thing, because what you'll find, you've got this.
Doesn't sound like that's his problem. He says it sounds too thin.
His rhythm sounds too thin.
Over the other dude playing the solo. So I guess here's what I think's probably happening.
All right.
You're all strumming away there. Everyone's strumming away. Strum away with me, Dan.
All right.
So it's quite big, and you're getting quite a nice natural chorus sound from 2 guitars both playing rhythm and probably doing a bit of singing. And now Dan's going to keep playing the rhythm. That guitar sounds so good. And so one thing might be happening is you're going from that 2 people playing to only 1 person playing. So it's not necessarily that your guitar sounds thin, it's that he's gone away playing whatever he was playing. So what can you do to fatten it up? What would you do to fatten up a thin rhythm guitar sound?
Probably, I'll probably put a bit of compression on there, light compression, just to help even things out.
Doubling delay?
Great shout.
Slapback delay? Reverb? Now, if you are playing plenty of strummy, quick rhythm parts, rhythmic effects are going to be problematic, but a doubling delay will always work, literally always work, as will dimension style chorus. So I don't know if you've got access to something like a chorus pedal that does a dimension type sound. If you are in the luxurious position of playing chords that are more sustained and picky parts, so instead of going, you've got the chance to go, and your rhythm guitar sounds more like that than...
It's astounding. That was that sound.
That was really good. Then you can get away with a massive reverb.
Yeah.
Gigantic reverb. And that could work. So, as always, fill it with effects. Chorus, delay and reverb. I would start with the doubling delay. What do you reckon?
The doubling delay is a really good shout. And the really cool thing about a doubling delay is you don't need a whole lot for it to have a big effect.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So doubling delay, typically shorter than slapback. If we say slapback is like 100 to 150. Doubling delay, what are we going to say, Dan? 30 to...
Yeah, 30 to 50.
30 to 50 or 60.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might be a bit disconcerting. You'll have to experiment with a mix level that works for you, and it might sound disconcerting at first, but you'll be amazed how much bigger it sounds. Failing that, get another amp, play wet dry.
So, one thing Rabia did when he was in a band with Rob Chapman, I don't know if that's still going, but he would have a second amplifier that he would only kick in at certain times underneath. If Rob went to sing and stopped playing guitar, Rabia would kick in the second amplifier on a doubled delay thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's really clever. So, I mean, if you want to go down that route, that can be really cool as well. The other thing that you could do... is that you could take a split from the signal, from your guitar signal at some point, split it, put it through a doubling delay and a compressor and put that into a channel of the desk, so that when the acoustic guitar player is taking a solo, you can kick that in just to give a bit of, almost acoustic quality underneath what the guitar player is doing. And again, it only has to be very subtle, but that you'd be surprised how much that fills out that sound.
Get an octave down, filter off all the top end,
and play Killing in the Name of.
and just have the octave. Get some of those bass pedals from the 1970s.
Geddy Lee.
Actually, among all this jovialness, I must say a massive thank you and farewell to my friend Roger Newell on the subject of bass pedals. Roger was a bass player in Rick Wakeman's band, among many other things, and he would do the bass pedals along with his bass. And Wakey dubbed him World War III, and that was his name because of the noise he made. He was the first person to ever have a three-necked wow bass, and there is the most wonderful picture of him playing King Arthur on ice with his triple-necked wow. Anyway, Rog, bless him, passed away last week, and so cheers, Rog. Thanks for everything. Doesn't really mean much coming from here, but yeah, bless him. Played in bands with Rog for years. So anyway, Sorry, bit of a sad note, but I mentioned old Rog. He made some noise. Right, sorry about that. Lawrence Holland. No, I'm not sorry at all. Bless you, Rog. Lawrence Holland. Hi from Toronto. Inspired by Mick's new telly, I just picked up my first new electric guitar in 20 years, a 2008 road-worn 50s in Sunburst Telecaster.
Wonderful.
No question, just thanks for the inspiration.
That's wonderful. They're great. The Road-worn series are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what that is, but that's a 60s style custom, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Really cool, Lawrence. Hope you're enjoying that.
Yeah, well done, mate.
So your first electric guitar in 20 years, what can we tell you? Just experiment with that tone control on the bridge pickup.
Yep.
So if you find it a bit brash when you step on your overdrive, just knock it back to about 8. That might help, or you might like it wide open. Doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Play some funky stuff in the mid position. James
Really
Brown.
nice. Yep.
It's just such a great sound.
Yep. And the Road Worn has got that, very thin, if any, finish on the back of the neck. And the more time that you spend playing that guitar, it just sort of, I don't know, like with the finish on that, even a couple of hours, suddenly it starts to feel played in. Yeah. Wonderful things. Well done.
Nice. Sorry, just checking in on the feed. All good. Mick, have you changed the saddles in your Isbell telly? No, I only changed them once. They look black. They're tarnished brass, but they look black, so they might look.
Oh, cool.
They might look like they're something different, but no, they're the Callahan ones that I changed. Cool. Got my lucky dip on Saturday, says Raf Freitas, and it's the same shirt Dan has on.
Ah,
that was a good lucky dip.
Well done.
Nice.
Awesome.
I feel special. Also, I wore my Tone Times 3 shirt to a Phillies game. Oh, Phillies, Philadelphia game, and a drunk dad kept calling me Tony the whole game.
Very good.
Nice one.
Very good.
Paul Matulovic. Hi, Paul. He says, what do you find makes for good gain stacking after a TB, a tone bender, we guess? Could be a treble booster, but we're going to say tone bender. I have a super fat mod that doesn't work well with it. Figured it was probably from the number of buffers, ?
Tricky. I would go something valve boosty, something that'll work with the output impedance of the tone bender. However, okay, power booster on the other side of the tone bender, magic.
Yeah, and if you can't find a Macari's Solar Sound one, the TrueFi Colour Boost
magic
is really spectacular. Yeah. What's really great about that is as astonishing. He does an 18 volt one now as well. Has an astonishing amount of headroom, but also is a absolutely crazy fuzz sound when you crank it. It also has bass and treble controls, which means that you can sort of shape what's coming out of the tone bender so it doesn't go all squashy, or it does, depending on what you want. Personally, I would use a clon because it works with everything.
Yep.
But again, it depends how gainy you have the tone bender. If you use the tone bender flat out, you probably don't want anything too gainy after it.
Yeah.
Because all you'll get is like...
Who was the question from? Is it Paul Matulovic?
Yeah.
Okay, he says treble boosters.
Oh, it is a treble booster.
Yeah.
Oops.
In that case, anything that reacts similar to an amplifier. With a treble booster going into a higher gain overdrive pedal, it's just limiting too much. It's a bit yuck. But something that still has some dynamics, like I love a treble booster into a Crowther Audio Hotcake. I think is wonderful. Something like a Mad Professor, is it the Honeybee Overdrive?
Yep. Mad Professor
Blue.
The Deep Blues of the delay. It's the one I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
But anything that has got that lovely, anything that's got a nice dynamic and a nice touch to it, put a treble booster into that, and I love that sound. So I used, also any valve overdrive, treble booster into Kingsley Page. It's the stuff dreams are made of.
Sorry, I'm just doing a bit of research for the next question, which is Actually, just to finish that off, Paul, you said because of the number of buffers that it's probably not that, because everything has an input and an output buffer, doesn't it? Or most things have an input and an output buffer. It's a red herring.
It's not a simple thing. Like, for example, a treble booster is basically, can be like a single transistor fuzz. And impedances will have a big effect on it, because they can be low impedance at the input and high impedance in the output. But depending on what it's going into, you can a treble booster into a really nice compressor can sound amazing, but a treble booster on its own, regardless of the buffer situation, is going to be pretty harsh.
Cool. So the question is that I'm trying to research is Mike 2203 fan. Do you know any history of the Van Power amp stacks that Mark Bolan used way back in the 70s? His guitar sound was cool on the T-Rex hits. I don't know anything about this.
I thought he was using high watts.
Well,
that's really interesting.
He was well known for. Apparently, he was well known for using. I found a blog that we'll look at in a minute. My initial response to that was, surely it was Marshalls.
Okay.
Just because that's probably what there was in the studio, but there are lots of very passionate Mark Bolan fans out there, so it could be wrong. So this vlog that I found, Van Power and Vox amps, whatever Van Power amps were, I mean, they look like some British Sound City,
right? Okay,
lineage, Carlsborough,
sure. Right, that thing.
There was lots of British brands at that time all doing sort of Marshall-y type amps. Now I don't know if they were any more individual than that. 71 to 74, Electric Warrior, Van Power and Vox amps, Transistor HH amps. He was known for using Dallas Rangemaster treble booster.
Right. And power booster.
Yeah. Yeah, HH, whatever the Van Power was. No, don't know anything about them. Just a very massive, fuzzy guitar tone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just a brilliant, loud, fuzzy guitar tone.
Yep.
So that Rangemaster really hammering into a cranked amp by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Sorry, don't know any more than that. Mike 2203. There are some extremely passionate Mark Bolan fans out there. I know this after my time at Guitarist Magazine and receiving letters from them. So no doubt they will have lots of online information that is truer than what I've just said.
Yep.
Angus McLean. Greetings from Canada.
Greetings indeed.
Thoughts on switching, says Angus. I don't understand this. Thoughts on switching versus... Oh, I see. Sorry, power supplies. Thoughts on switching versus linear power and on keeping the generator off the board plugged into the barrel jack to power the first distributor, and Angus is using a quiet acoustic guitar board.
Okay.
Right? So switching power supply, linear power supply?
Yep.
What does that mean?
So linear power supply is something that's got like a, say, massive toroidal transformer, and the transformer is what's taking the AC voltage at, say, whatever you've got coming out on the wall.
Mark, spell AC voltage.
And reducing that down to a voltage that the pedals can use.
Yeah.
To do that, you know, it's a big transformer. It's set specifically for whatever country that you're in, blah, blah, blah. Switching power supplies generally much smaller. They use switching technology to and you can basically use any voltage, and then that, you know, using that switching technology, that brings the supply down to a point where you can use it. it's like it depends how it's designed. There's good and bad everywhere, right? But switching supplies can be absolutely fine if they're designed well and they're shielded properly and they're quiet. Generator is a switching supply, but it's designed to be extremely quiet. But because it's such a powerful supply, it's a 5 amp supply. Like any power supply that puts out a magnetic field, if you put that over something that's susceptible to that magnetic field, it can cause noise. So one thing that I like about the generator is actually having it off the board.
Yeah.
And then, once the DC comes in there, it's fine. But you'll find that with any power supply, stick a wire pedal over your power supply.
Yeah.
And any power supply that's going to stick out an EMF, and it can cause issues regardless of whether it's linear or switching.
From personal experience, I've had large complex pedal board with generator inboard, no problems whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had another pedal board where, because I didn't test it all to begin with, I've ended up going, what the hell is that hum? And lo and behold, the generator's right underneath a pedal that's susceptible to it, and therefore I then pull it out and take it outside the thing. So it might be one thing that could be worth doing is just putting the supply next to your various pedals and just seeing if any of them do have a problem with it.
Totally.
And then just bearing that in mind when you lay the board out, because in an ideal world, obviously you want everything in the board, so all you've got to do is plug the IEC in, go, everything's good. So maybe just experiment with layout, Angus, plug it all in and see where you are. And if you do find that there's a bit of a hum, you might only need to move it down the other end of the board and it'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah. But just that's relevant to any power supply.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. No question, just a thanks from Seattle, says Paul Rasmussen.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Rasmussen. Thank you, Paul. Alan R. Johnson. Alan, we've got a superbly super chat from you, but no questions.
No, we got that one.
We've done that one. Question from Daniel Steinhardt. Good morning. I need to drop things off in Melksham on my way through. I should be there around 11. Oh, no, that's from you. Alan, we'll look out for something else coming through from you. Brian Garcia says, Jake would be a great guest, Jake Loosemore. He's also quite involved with the John Mayer Gear Lounge on Facebook.
Oh, cool.
A great for anyone who likes the Strat into 2-rock sound, killer player in tow. Yeah, he's a really great player, Jake. Yes, I'm just going to say this. The video will not be about John Mayer, because every other video on YouTube is about John Mayer. I don't want that. I want to listen to the amps. It's not like we can't talk about John Mayer.
Right.
But it won't be about that, because I think the John Mayer Gear Lounge on Facebook is probably already festooned in John Mayer information. And until John brings out a new record, I think we should just leave it there.
Okay.
It's a joke. All right, it's a joke. Brian Garcia, Jake Loosemore. Thanks, Brian. Yes, it would be great to get Jake on, and it is a real trip to hear him play, actually. He's a lovely player. Digger68, greetings from the Dirty River in good old Texachusetts.
Oh, nice.
I would like to jam late night with my headphones. My full pedal board and maintain sound quality. Any suggestions on how to do that?
Something like, if you've got a full pedal board and you just use your pedal board, if you want to use your amplifier, you can get something like a Captor X that will have a load that your amplifier can use, but then have a headphone output. They sound great. If you want to use your pedal board, get the Strymon Iridium, stick it at the end of your pedal board, headphone out, bang, happy days.
Yeah, Strymon Iridium, DSM and Dumbolt Simplifier. I think that's got a headphone out.
Yep.
And one other, what am I thinking of?
You're thinking of the New Neighbour.
Iconoclast. And finally, the Walrus Do One.
Walrus one,
which
yes,
I forget
absolutely.
what it's called. It might be called the OCS.
Let's see how quick someone can come back with
Something
the
like
name
that.
of the Walrus Direct Box.
What they are
Come on, people.
is versions of the same format. They are little... Actually, the DSM is slightly different.
No one yet.
The Walrus whatever it's called, the New Neighbour Iconoclast and the Strymon Iridium are all digital modelling, essentially amplifiers,
No one yet.
little amplifiers, and they sound great. They sound like amps, especially when you listen to them through headphones. The DSM and Humboldt is slightly different in that it is analog and much simpler, and you may prefer that. But that's it. Totally the way to go with that.
Boss also have the IR200.
There we go.
Is it the S1? Paul Matulovic says, the ACS1.
Yes, ACS1.
There we
you.
go.
Walrus ACS1.
There we go. Well done. David Rustad, Stefan Flandergin, Paul Matulovic got halfway there with S1.
Gary Robinson. Gents, my tools of choice were an Ibanez and a Kemper. You persuaded me to try a Telly and a Princeton. Excellent.
My goodness.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm fascinated to know how you're getting on, Gary, and whether you like it or you like it less, or whether you're amalgamating everything into one glorious rig. It's all good.
It's good.
Just all good.
Whatever gets you playing. Doesn't matter. Whatever gets you playing guitar, it's good.
The thought of a Telly and a Princeton, though, I mean, it is a unique experience, isn't
Sound of
it?
ages. Totally.
It's just like, oh my God. It's like, oh my God. Reaper 66666666666
Don't
says,
fear him.
Hey Legends, much love from Sweden. Just wondering if the shipping outside of the UK is fixed or not. I'm in the market for a harmonious monk. Thank you for everything you do. Huge inspirations. Reaper, I think Sweden's in the EU, isn't it?
Such a great song.
If Sweden is in the EU, which we think it is, buy it direct from Jam in Greece or from any European retailer. It's much easier. It'll end up costing you much less money. The shipping won't be insert endless swear words here for the utter arse that's been made of the EU's new VAT rules.
Man.
It's not about Brexit, although Brexit hasn't helped. It's about the EU's new VAT rules. So please buy it from somewhere in the EU if you are indeed in the EU, and you'll get it cheaper and faster. It means me and Dan can't have turkey for Christmas, but that's okay.
It's all right. It's turkey slices.
It's a joke. Please buy it in the EU because it'll be easier and quicker for you. And, we still not betraying anything here by saying that, we get a royalty on every single harmonious monk that's sold.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter where you buy it, it still helps us out, and we are thankful that you're even
Very
thinking
grateful.
about it. So
Yeah,
thank you,
mate.
Ricky Kent, I just got a Tweed Deluxe from Carl's Custom Amps to pair with my 64 Princeton hand-wired. Oh my God. Greer drives, and 3 delays later, I have never been happier.
No, we're so happy for you.
Are you
we
kidding?
Can feel
That
the joy.
is a rig.
Wow.
That is a rig. I really want to hear that hand-wired Princeton.
Yeah, me too. I wonder what speaker's in that.
It's going to be an expensive day.
Jeff Rock says I got a Princeton recently. I'm embarrassed not to have gotten one years ago. Yeah.
Same. We're in the same boat.
Complete revelation. I'm using one at rehearsal at the moment, and it's just glorious.
I don't know. I was going to Google the speaker, but it's almost time for Meat Feast, Dan.
Oh, Meat Feast. Oh, I'm so hungry.
Actually, we might get a Thai takeaway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can be bothered to cook.
No. Don't you get
up for that?
Totally, but as long as there's lots of meat in that.
They
Thai
do a thing
takeaway.
called Weeping Tiger, which is...
Oh, that, yeah.
I don't
it's
like
so
to,
good.
I mean, I don't want any animal to weep, least of all a tiger.
Weeping Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Patinator 37. Cheers! What gets me closer to AC/DC? Oh, this is a great question.
Mark, get you closer.
A JTM 45, a 1987X, or a JCM 800?
Ooh. That's a great question.
Depends what volume you play at.
Yep.
I'm going to say the JTM 45.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there.
But you do need some sort of boost.
Yep.
Like this, for example.
Again, that thing there with the amps really loud.
I'm saying JTM45 because it's the friendliest of those amps. It's the one with the most bass response, to me anyway. It's the one you can get going at lower volumes. The 87X, I'm pointing there, it's there. It's just a vicious, visceral thing that's quite hard to play at anything other than, once it's up there,
Yeah.
it's lovely to play, but below that it is like walking
Harsh.
on flipping nails, isn't
Yep,
it?
yep.
It's pretty unpleasant. Whereas in my experience anyway, JTM 45 is pretty more pleasant to play. JCM 800, I dare say you could do it with that.
I think that would be number 2. They've got a bit more grind in them.
It's so interesting because unless you're talking about going to see AC/DC live, which is another thing, but most of us have experienced AC/DC via records. Of course we have, and from what I can gather, I mean, if you're talking about a classic DC record, let's talk about Highway to Hell, which I think is just my favourite AC/DC guitar sounds. As a cranked amp in a room with mics on it, going through like most amazing mic preamps into a beautiful desk onto a lovely tape machine. So that is really an important part of that whole signal chain.
Absolutely.
And when you plug your Marshall in your, wherever it is you're lucky enough to get to play it loud, it's like, wow, this sounds like someone's sticking pins in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah. I had a really interesting chat with Paul Stacey the other day, talking about, I said, why is it when you go to a sound check, the drummer can bash 10 shades of poo-poo from his kit?
Yeah.
Sound guy doesn't have a problem with that. You barely turn your amp on. It's like, it's too loud. And it's because the rock, when you bring the rock, it's not a pleasant sound. When the amp is grinding, it's not a pleasant sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because all the overtones and all those harmonics in there make you go ear, but it is that ear that brings forth the rock. It was really interesting.
Yeah, and what works in a mix doesn't work.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Johnny Love, Dan and Mick, just curious about how much guitar practice you tend to get in for an average week, and do you want to do more? Cheers, Johnny Love.
I try and play every day, but playing is different to practicing. If I serious practice, I'll get maybe half an hour in twice a week, but I'll play every day. I absolutely want to do more. What I find though, I had a chat with Mick about this a few weeks ago. When I'm in my practice mindset and I'm trying something different, I've got to be really careful that I don't end up sounding like an alien here because I'm trying to do stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that doesn't help anyone. So what I find, getting a balance between just playing and having fun and practicing, trying new stuff, is I'll find out where the new stuff I'm trying works with what I already do. But things like what Mick was doing before about playing clean and all that sort of stuff, you can practice that. You should be practicing that a lot, no matter what you're trying to do or build harmonically. Good technique, is a reasonably simple thing to practice without having to, branch your brain out. The stuff that I'm doing jazz-wise is taxing cerebrally.
Yeah.
And so, one day I'll get to sit down with that for hours and hours on end every day. But for the moment, I'm finding if I can get half an hour in a couple of times a week.
Man, if you can play for half an hour a day, the improvement in one's guitar playing would be, if you use that half an hour, wisely, then the improvement would be massive, wouldn't it?
Totally.
But you've got to do something worth doing. If you just sit down and play the same thing, actually, there's value in that too. I'm in a real funk of I literally don't play the guitar between filming sessions. And I haven't done for months. I literally do not play the guitar, and it's doing my head in. I came in on Saturday for the first time in ages, so I had some listening to do. Some pedal evaluation, and it's great, but it's work.
Sure.
And it's freeing up yourself time to play
Stuff that you want to do.
that you want to do.
Yeah.
And with that, I've never been able to practice. The biggest upsurges in my playing have always come when I've had to do something for a gig or a recording session, or
Sure.
where I've had to. There's been a deadline, and I've said this before, but that might come after years of working in magazines where I literally can't do anything unless there's a deadline. It's not going to happen.
Because there's so many other things that have deadlines.
Well, you know, youth is wasted on the young, and practice is a preserve of people who are able to. I'm not going to say have the time, but who are able to prioritise their time to be able to practice.
Yep.
I was going to come in yesterday and play. We decided, no, we're going to empty the shed and paint it. Because it needed to be done. And it's just one example of about 50,000. And that's it. Do you want to prioritise your playing? And I sat down with Catherine after and I said, I have to find a way to play the guitar again.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah.
Awesome.
I have to prioritise
But the thing is, though,
the time.
But having that time away, sometimes it can it's like, actually, you know what? I want to get into this. I want to, and you having that desire to go, I want to get back into this.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But even when I was a kid, I hate practice. The only practice I ever do is if I've got to learn something.
Yeah, right.
So when I saw my mate Stuart Ryan doing a Collings demo and he played that lovely alternate picking, economy picking, Eric Johnsonism stuff, I was like, wow, I need to learn how to, not necessarily how to learn those notes, I need to learn how to make that sound.
Yeah.
That's what it's always been with me. It's about making the sound, not necessarily playing the notes. And so I sat down, and for 2 hours I was trying to get the thumb pushing and all of that. And within 2 hours and then a bit of extra work, I've got it semi-down. And if I do 20 minutes on it, it's there. So sorry, long-winded question, but something close to my heart, and I know very close to Dan's heart, because Dan has also, in the last 2 years, gone on a vertical learning curve, and a kind of almost universal expanse of your guitar playing. It's gone in every direction, and that's just hard work, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's one of those things, though. I've got to, just because I understand how to do something doesn't necessarily mean I should be doing it. Well, you know what I mean?
You got to go there to come back.
Absolutely. And now I'm coming back now.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much I want to be able to do. You know, and just listening to, you know, of course I'm listening to a lot of Pat Martino, but listening to a lot more Pat Metheny lately as well. All the Pats.
Pat Schofield, you were listening to the other
Pat
day?
Schofield, Shat Martino. Nick got me this most amazing.
Pat Montgomery.
Where did we? The poster's not here, but yes, this wonderful poster for my birthday. But anyway, the strangest thing happened for me, and it was only a few years ago, because I really love jazz, and I studied it, but I could never play it. And it was only recently, after listening to it for so long, that I actually started to be able to hear the harmony. And it was like, and seriously, it was like, whoa.
So I just found a cork sniffing picture.
I just love that. So that's when I got in touch with my dear friend Mark Johns, and I asked him to help me, and he's been an amazing teacher. Of course, now I'm playing in a band with Paul Stacey. Far out, man. We playing Roundabout. Yes, it's Roundabout.
Nice.
He took the solo in it, and I just I give up. I'll just sit here and go. That's all I'm going to do now.
You heard Paul Gilbert's version of it?
A roundabout?
Yeah, it's
No
the
way.
live version. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's really good.
But far out. But that's but my whole goal with this stuff is just to have a level of harmony. There you go. There you go. Oh, it was funny. So funny.
That's this month's edition of Jazz Jitsuist.
Brilliant.
Sorry, you mentioned it, but
Yeah. Genius. That's what we need there. You should be able to go bing and have it come up on the screen.
I know.
Yeah, you know. But
Yeah.
you get to you learn the stuff and it's in your head and you're able to do it. But the idea is that you don't play what you practice. It just informs what you play. You know what I mean? Because you get to hear it, and it's like, if I'm, when I'm hearing this chord, I don't have to do the altered scale stuff. It can just be, and sometimes that is a lot more appropriate than.
Well, I guess you have to learn it so you can actually properly forget it.
Yeah,
Don't you?
yeah, totally.
As opposed to never knowing it in the first place.
Yeah.
I've
Like
come to a
that.
philosophical conclusion on this as well, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, that's for
Meat,
another
fest,
day.
and wine.
Hello from the Canton of Ticino in Switzerland. Canton of Ticino. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Ticino. In Switzerland, says
say
Daniel
Ticino.
Initian.
I say to say sorry.
Let's call the whole thing ACDC. Thank you guys for what you do and what you show. Always interesting and funny. Greetings to you all. Well,
thank
thanks very
you.
much, Daniel. Been to Switzerland?
No, we went to Sweden, right? We crossed the bridge and we were in Sweden for like 10 minutes and then came back.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
place.
been, different place.
yeah.
Sweden isn't Switzerland, funnily enough. No, haven't been to Switzerland.
I drove through it once on the way to Slovenia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bought some clogs,
Of course.
which were bizarrely made in Sweden. True story. Anyway, Mappa off from Canada. Hey fellas, long time listener, first time caller from Canada.
Welcome.
Hunting for the spittiest of gated fuzzes. I'm looking at the Beatronic stuff. Anything else come to mind? Thank you for all you do.
You're not going to go wrong with the Beatronic stuff.
Yeah, I think
absolutely
that's a blooming good place to start.
magic.
Yeah. So for spitty, in traditional fuzz terms, what you want is a bias control.
Yep.
If you apologies if that's too simplistic. Bias control, Daniel.
So, bias control, basically, as you're biasing the transistors, it sets basically the threshold of the gate of the transistor. There it is. Sorry. Yeah. And so as you turn the bias down, and you start shutting that gate, and therefore it takes more voltage to open that gate, and you get that spitty sound. As you open it up, it becomes smoother and more drivey.
So that's what gives you a spitty fuzz sound. And I think there are companies, aren't there, who really make that their thing.
Because it's like any fuzz, that element of the fuzz, you can get into the nth degree of, controlling that bias.
So definitely look at Beatronics. Definitely look at Death by Audio.
Oh, there you go.
Look at Jupiter Effects.
Yep.
JPTR.
Yep. Also, look at
Actually, blooming good old Fuzz Factory does spitty fuzz
Unreal.
really well. Zvex Fuzz
Zvex
Factory.
Fuzz Factory. Yeah.
Yeah, does it really great.
You can tweak that to the nth degree and it'll do spitty, really good.
Yeah. Did Dan Electro do one recently that was really spitty?
No, they did the Japanese style fuzz.
Anyway, hopefully that'll give you enough to think about. But yeah, no reason to look away from Beatronics at all, really.
No.
Yes. Okay, let's check then where we are, Daniel. I do believe that's us. That is we.
Gonna have some Thai food. A weekend tiger.
The Eisenhower, says Peter Glasby. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. As opposed to that $36.99 up there. Yeah. Good. Okay, I do believe that's us. Vemura Myriad says says BV. Yes.
Myriad, yeah.
Really seriously awesome fuzz.
Yep.
And really seriously awesome price. I don't think we've ever been scared about that before, have we, Dan? The Jizz Jatsuist cover is ace, says Dark Lord. I really hope that's a typo. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's really funny. Okay. Matt Pathini, says Bobbler42. Pat Clapton, Pat Vi, Joe Patriani, Patty Hendricks, says Robert Payne. Pat Zappa, says Kay Cole. Oh, Postman Pat, says Nick Burson. Oh,
very good.
Oh, apparently John McEnroe hated practicing Love Playing, says Johnny Love. Anyway, there we are. There we are. Right, good. Jacob Rocky, what's the difference between a Jazzmaster and a P90 pickup? Very different construction. Because we are going home for meat feast and maybe a glass of wine. Google it. You need to see some diagrams is the reason I'm saying that, not because I'm being lazy.
No.
If you actually see the diagrams of the construction, it will make sense.
Yeah. The Jazzmaster is like a big Strat pickup, right? Because the individual pieces are magnetised as opposed to the P90.
Very shallow coil, wide coil.
Right.
P90 deep.
Yes.
Narrow
the P90's got a bar magnet on it. And, yeah. Anyway, check
Yes,
it out.
It's completely different construction and yeah. Nice. Okay. Yes. That is the way to treat a 1965 telly.
Come on.
Thank you for being with us. This Friday, we take a somewhat
Hibernian adventure.
Yeah. For tossing the caber and eating haggis.
Indeed.
No, we... it's where do you go after the Hot Rod Deluxe?
Yeah.
And it's a completely arbitrary look at 3 amps that you could go to.
I don't think it's arbitrary.
Given that there's like 50 amps that you could go to, or maybe 500.
Yeah.
But we take 3 and we go, well, okay, if you think this about the Hot Rod Deluxe and you want this, then what
Have a
about
look at
this?
Yeah.
And actually, word of fair warning to regular viewers, you might think that with a Hot Rod Deluxe we're talking about clean sounds and reverb. Actually, it's really about cranking the amps on overdrive.
And hearing what the amp does and the character of the amp and parts and everything.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I thought the Hot Rod Deluxe's overdrive channel did not sound bad.
I thought it did.
So we'll see you on Friday.
All right.
Out, Dan.